We've got the A6400. I guess I wasn't expecting this camera to be released. I was expecting an A7000, but Sony released this camera, I think, to a specific person. And let me go over some of the pros and cons of this camera. I'm gonna give you guys my honest feedback on this camera. This is a big upgrade in terms of video when you compare it to the 63 and the 6500. Now let me explain. I know it doesn't have IBIS, but when you look at the improvements on this camera, okay, number one, it has no end time in recording. So the 30-minute limit is gone. You can record as long as you want, almost like a camcorder. It has better tracking. It has some tracking features that I need to show you guys. It's really amazing. It has a touchscreen. The 6300 did not have a touchscrreen, and it works really well. It also has a time-lapse feature built in. Thank you, Sony, for real, because we need this time-lapse. I mean, I was so mad when the Play Memories, when it lost the time-lapse feature. It's nice to have it in camera. I was talking to Max Yuriev, and he was telling me that the cooling of this camera is a lot better. It's probably because of more efficient processing with the new sensor and everything. So it's not gonna overheat as fast, which is nice to have in a smaller body. And you know, you got S&Q now. You got the slow and quick feature on here, and you have one of the best things, this back screen. This back screen doesn't dim in 4K. If you ever shot with the 6300, 6500, that was a problem. This one doesn't have it. So there are a lot of benefits to using this camera for video than the 63 and the 6500, but it doesn't have that image stabilization that I wanted so bad. All right, now let's talk about the photography side, my favorite side. The camera has the same sensor, so you're not gonna get like a dramatically better image with this camera, but I can tell you one feature on this camera that actually changes the way I would shoot. Okay, I'm a portrait shooter. This camera has this new feature called object tracking. I mean, it literally puts a smile on my face because it will make my life so much easier when shooting portraits. So I like to use eye autofocus. When that model, I'm gonna pretend like I'm the model right now. So when the model's walking and I have her spin and she does one of these, what happens is the camera loses the eye and then the autofocus just stops working at that point, right? So now with object tracking, when it doesn't have the eye, it's gonna track the body. You're gonna see a box on the body and it's gonna track the body, so you're never gonna lose focus. So it's gonna track the eye, then it's gonna track the body, and then when the eye comes back in frame, it's gonna get the eye again. From a photography standpoint, there isn't much improved. The autofocus is bumped up a little bit. It took some of the magic from the A9, but for the most part, it's the same thing. ISO improvement, okay, not that big a deal. But I think the object tracking, the eye autofocus improvements on this camera make it so much better for photography, especially portraiture. Now we're gonna go into the more controversial part of the camera. From an ergonomic standpoint, it's exactly the same as the 6300. It's got one custom button here. The A6500 has two custom buttons. We've got this flippy screen here, right? And I am really happy that they gave us a screen that we can see ourselves with. The problem is obviously with the screen, you know, the internal microphone's pretty good, but when you put an external mic on here, it's gonna block the screen. I wish that they were to put the screen on a side hinge coming out this way. I think that would have made more sense, but I think that people have to look at who this camera is targeting. It's a $900 camera. I think for $900, this is the best camera you can buy. And this camera is not targeting people like me that want the best vlogging camera with all the bells and whistles. This is not that. This is obviously a good entry, an amazing entry-level camera where you get so much packed into here. So the A6400 is a really impressive camera for the price point. We filmed this entire video with the A6400. My boy Ryan, Castle Life Productions, right behind the camera right now, he filmed a little reel using this camera, using the object tracking and using those video features. Play it, cue it, whatever, do it.